Today we chat to Alicia Hazard from Pamu Jewellery about the story behind her amazing brand. In association with Beds and Lounge Direct, we share home styling tips for smaller spaces. And Dr. Andrea Vincent is back discussing inherited retinal disease in association with Retina New Zealand. Well, over the last few weeks of this show, many people have been messaging me saying, Monique, where did you get these fabulous earrings from? So I'm really excited to have in the studio today the creator of a new New Zealand fashion brand in the jewellery sector. The brand is called Pamu, and today I welcome the amazing Alicia Hazard to the studio.
Hi.
So excited to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Firstly, I have to say, Alicia, I love your jewellery. I'm a super fan. I love it. What inspired you to get into the jewellery industry?
As a jewellery wearer, I really struggled to find something that was affordable but wouldn't irritate my skin and wouldn't tarnish at the drop of a hat as well. Of course, I can wear expensive jewellery, but I don't want to go and spend $400 on a necklace that I'm going to wear just occasionally, maybe once a month. So yeah, I decided to get creative and start my own jewellery brand.
And you have a bit of a background in the fashion industry as well. Tell me about that.
Yes, so I have worked in retail most of my younger life throughout my teenage years. And then I worked for Russell Athletic, assisting with their sales and design department.
So do you think that sort of started to foster that love for creating a brand, do you think?
Yes, I think so. I loved kind of learning about the manufacturing and wholesaling process at Russell Athletic. It was really great to learn about how things worked behind the scenes of a retail store and a retail brand.
The name Pamu, where does that come from?
So Pamu actually means farm in Te Reo. I'm of Māori heritage and I really wanted to bring in a little bit of personality into my brand. It's a strange name for a jewellery company. I do get that. But also for me personally, I'm living on a farm with my young family, living, working, breathing, everything within the farm. So all of my inspiration has kind of been drawn from my surroundings.
Including the colour, of course.
Yeah, as you can see, the colour, all my packaging, a lot of my designs, I try to kind of incorporate that aspect. The aspect.
So, I mean, taking that brand out to market, I know there's challenges. Having been in marketing and media myself for a long time, there's real challenges. But also I know for a fact, you, like me, many people look at us and go, she's not even Māori. Why is she even using the term like that? How have you dealt with that? Because learning about your whakapapa as an example, you have really strong connection and roots in Te Ao Māori. Tell me about that experience for you.
It's been really interesting. I think personally, my family, our te reo was kind of beaten out of us, not me in particular, but my nana and my parents. Their generation kind of lost their te reo. We do have strong connections to where we're from and our marae and our family, but we did lose the language. And so that's always been really hard for me. I think now with society, it's a lot more integrated. You can, use Māori in every day. It's everywhere you go now, which is great, and it's so good to see. But back when I was growing up, it wasn't. And it wasn't something that you really went out of your way to learn, except for at school when you were doing your colours and your numbers. And
so now being a mum yourself, and you've got 3 children, right?
Yeah.
Now being a mum, creating Pamu, I always think farm creation because a lot of life happens on a farm as well, which is about creativity and creating jewellery, but also for you reclaiming your language and your identity through the creation of this brand. Was that important for you for your kids as well?
It was. It's important for me for them to know where they come from. I have a really strong connection with my nana in particular, who has passed now. And I really wish that I got to do more with her when she was around. So naming the brand Pamu was actually inspired by her mainly, which is I just have that such close tie, tie to her. But also I want my children to know that that's who they are. Because growing up without the language, going to an all-girls Catholic school and learning French, you kind of lose that connection a little bit, or you feel very distant. So when people do ask me whether I'm Māori, why did I name my brand Pāmu, where did the name come from, I almost feel guilty when answering.
Wow.
Because it's really hard for me to say, well, I am Māori. And then I have to say, oh, but I do look the way I look, because, you have to justify it all the time. But the reality is, we are
who we are.
Part Māori, part Russian.
Yeah. And I think, identity is such a great thing when it comes to creating a brand, knowing the story. I buy a lot of brands myself based on the story behind it, the creation, the thought. And the bigger reason why that brand was created, knowing this is, it means farm, it's connection to our land, connection to our identity, I think, particularly for Kiwi consumers, is becoming so much more important. And I notice this actually stemming across many of your designs too. As an example, the beautiful wahine necklace that you're wearing at the moment, which is one of my absolute favourite pieces. What was the inspiration behind that? So the inspiration behind our wahine necklace, I've seen quite a few necklaces on the market of this same kind of design, where it's like a square pendant. But a lot of them said, I am strong, I am her. And I was like, that's right. Like we are strong, bold women. And I thought, well, why not put, wahine on there, and I'm going to draw a silhouette of a woman. Don't care what anyone thinks. Let's just do it. It's your expression. It's right.
My expression. And that was the whole idea. I really wanted a bold piece to, show that women are bold and strong, but to also be delicate, because we are delicate and you can be both.
Yeah, I really, really love that. And I've noticed, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, one of my favourite pieces here that I have on my hand, I think is in fact inspired by another portion of your background, because this to me looks like the three rings here look like, I'll just make sure you can see it okay, look like a Russian wedding band.
Oh no!
Am I right? Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're not right. But that's cool. We can go with it.
There you go. Which is part of your whakapapa as well.
Yes, yeah. Although the Russian side I don't know much about, to be honest. That was something I'm yet to learn. But no, I just really love that ring. I love the boldness of it.
I love it too. So down here on the front table, we've got a variety of different pieces. Now this is, I have to say too, I have to declare while we're on camera, #sponsored. Thanks, Alicia.
Yeah. #gifted.
Yeah, thank you. We have to do all that stuff to keep everybody happy. But I do love this. I called this, in fact, this set that you very kindly gifted me. I actually call it my capsule wardrobe of jewellery, because I wear these pieces every day, from the beautiful earrings I have on right now, which have the freshwater style pearls on there with the hoop, which I think are so classic. And every time I wear them, I get people actually stopping me to ask about them, including comments in our show, in our live stream, and personal message about these pieces in particular, through to the pieces inside the box down the front here, which are all of my own wardrobe. So I've got the gorgeous wahine necklace in there too. I love these sleepers, and I don't know if you can see them here without me having to move everything, but there's actually diamantes in there, or are they Swarovski crystals, or what's going on?
They're just zirconias.
Zirconias. Well, that's
we're
good
keeping things affordable.
We're bougie, living the bougie lifestyle. And I love too the twisted rope style necklace. It looks like to me like a DNA helix, and I love it because as it moves, it kind of twinkles there. And we've got the pearl ring, which OMG, I have worn so many times and people just tell me it looks splendid and magical. And the really edgy kind of square topped ring. Where did these designs come from?
The pearl ring, interestingly enough, so my mum's engagement ring was Michael Hill Jeweller's first design that he ever made.
Wow.
But they were friends from high school. So it's a very interesting, but The ring itself is a strange piece. It's almost like a pyramid with a tiny little diamond on top. And I've always kind of thought it was cool. So that's kind of where the pearl ring came from. It's almost like a little pyramid, not as intense as hers, and with a little pearl on top.
For me, it's like lifting the pearl out of the ocean.
Yeah.
So, I really love that. It just really resonated with me. I just think they're all brilliant. And of course, we've got more of a traditional, what we'd call maybe a snake necklace.
Snake chain or herringbone chain.
And what I love about that too is it is quite unisex. So my partner Pete's been wearing, in fact, I'm not allowed to wear it. He wears it all the time.
I love it.
Was that part of your intention with that piece?
I did want to make quite a few of our pieces are actually quite unisex. Even the twisted, it's called the Twiggy necklace. It's a rope chain. A lot of those can actually be quite unisex, and we've got a few new pieces coming. Statement necklaces and stuff, which are very unisex as well.
Oh dear, I can feel my credit card burning in my pocket already. So look, final question that I really, really want to ask you is, when it comes to quality, your price points for these pieces are exceptional. So let's talk about how you're able to bring what is very luxurious looking. I wanted to say furniture for a moment there because I'm sitting on this beautiful furniture. But, I guess it's furniture for your face and for your body.
Absolutely.
These amazing pieces. How did you manage to create these pieces and keep them so affordable? What's the base of them?
So the base is a stainless steel. First of all, stainless steel is a medical grade metal. So it can be used in your body. So it isn't going to tarnish, and it's not going to irritate your skin. It's not going to, not going to cause
doesn't upset
any
my
irritation
ears either, which is great.
Yeah, it won't. And that was the whole point of having a stainless steel base was it's hypoallergenic, not going to tarnish. So even if your gold plating does wear off over time from chemicals or scratching, your stainless steel still won't tarnish underneath.
Wow.
Which really helps with with that price point.
And we've got the gold plating on top.
Yeah.
Now, I've noticed this doesn't tarnish. No. And it's pretty hard wearing. How have you managed to do that?
So it's actually through a vacuum vapor deposition plating. It's a bit different to your normal gold plating, which is where they're dipped and coated in an actual gold plating. It's put into a machine and the gold's actually vacuum plated onto the metal. Wow. So it is a lot harder wearing, and that definitely helps in the future.
Yeah, it keeps it, enables you to keep it for longer.
Yes, yeah, and that's another reason why they use stainless steel, because you need that high heat, high temperature points to be able to plate the gold onto. Yeah.
Well, look, I'm a fan, and I know many of our viewers across social and across TV love this jewellery too. And what I do love is the connection to New Zealand, your story, but also the fact that this looks luxe, but on a really achievable price point. Yeah. So congratulations to you super mum and amazing boss babes. We need to celebrate that. Cheers, Alicia. Cheers, or we must.
Cheers.
I really appreciate you coming into the studio today.
Thank you for having me.
Such a beautiful gift.
Thank you.
And if you want to find out more about this amazing range of Pāmu jewellery, we're going to share the link for you on the screen so you can head to the web store and check it out for yourself. Alicia, thank you so much for joining me and wishing you every success.
Thank you.
With smaller housing developments being built to help first home buyers finally get onto the property ladder and the evolution of tiny homes, the need to maximise space has become even more important. So if you're fitting out your home, here's some tips from our friends at Beds and Lounge Direct on how you can maximise your space and reclaim some room. Clutter takes up a lot of space, and so can storage units. The first tip is to consider the size of your space and its usage. In the bedroom, a bed base with hidden drawers is a great option, enabling you to store seasonal clothes, shoes, treasured items or accessories. It also means you have a space to clear away the clutter and create more negative space, giving your room a more spacious and neat look. Most people I speak to love the idea of a comfortable couch as well as a recliner, so they can lie back, relax and watch the game. In a smaller space, that simply isn't possible, as having both can really dominate your lounge and create a congested feeling. To solve this, it may be worth considering a recliner lounge suite, which gives you the same results but in a more compact form. With the recliner function built directly into the lounge suite, you can have the best of both worlds without losing precious space in your lounge. Plus, if you move into a bigger home in the future, you can always add an extra recliner with the same look and feel to ensure cohesion with your furniture styling. Are you a bookworm at heart? Do you love trinkets, art or keepsakes? I know I do. Need to create an office or study space which is both functional and versatile? Don't compromise on being surrounded by your lovely things or your precious books. Just stack them. Having boxes of treasures or piles of books around your smaller space can create a lot of clutter in your home, so the best way to deal with it is to stack it. This desk with shelves is both a great way to get your books and treasures off the ground and into an orderly, more accessible format, and is also perfect for creating your own study nook or home office space so you can get on with your work. Long lunches, luxurious dinners, family get-togethers. Growing up in a country and a culture who celebrates life, love and family through shared dining experiences is wonderful. However, doing that in a smaller home can be a challenge. A convertible dining table gives you the freedom and flexibility to have a table in your home that is functional for everyday use without dominating your space, while giving you the option to upsize for special events and occasions. For those starting out in their own first home, this is an absolute must-have, as it gives you a functional table that literally grows with your family and its needs. You can't beat the joy of sharing a movie night with friends. But what happens when it's just too late to drive home? Love the family surprising you with a visit? In a single bedroom smaller home or apartment, where will your guests sleep? That's where a sofa bed is the perfect solution, providing you with the comfortable seating space you need for entertaining, as well as an additional sleeping space. Now, modern day sofa beds are very different from the sofa beds of the 70s and 80s, with most guests not even realising they're sitting on their bed for the night. It's important to note too that fold-out mattresses are so far removed from the foam squabs of yesteryear, with many of the Beds and Lounge Direct clients sharing that sleeping on our sofa bed was our guests' best night's sleep in years. I actually have this sofa bed in my own home and can hand on heart say that my guests and I both love it. Did you dream of having bunks when you were a child? Well, perhaps your child does too. Bunk beds are a fun way to reclaim bedroom space in a child's room, giving them more floor play space and creating a lighter area feeling to a smaller room. They're also fantastic if you have two children to accommodate in one room. For a child who has lots of toys, clothes, shoes or accessories, bunks with drawers in the bottom are both a space saver and a lifesaver for parents who prefer a space that is clutter-free. Perhaps you could consider turning packing the drawers into a fun game for your wee ones to encourage them to keep their rooms tidy. Hey, it's worth a try, right? If you're in a single room or studio space, room dividers and freestanding bookshelves are a great way to section off a bedroom, dining area, working or sleeping space without impacting your usable living area or blocking out light. They're also giving you the flexibility to change things up. So for anyone with a bit of a creative flair like me, who loves to regularly rearrange your space, dividers and a few artificial plants or indoor trees can rapidly transform a home without the need for builders or impacting the home's infrastructure. They're also really good for renters who are looking for ways to personalise their space, or those living in shared accommodation. So there's some tips on how to maximise your smaller living space. For help and support on where to get started, head to see our friends at Beds and Lounge Direct. Check them out on their website or visit them in store. Happy shopping. Kia ora, I'm Monique Bradley, and today I'm speaking with Associate Professor in Ophthalmology. This is Dr. Andrea Vincent. Kia ora, Andrea, welcome to the studio.
Kia ora.
So let's talk about how inherited retinal disease can affect a patient over the duration of that I don't want to say downward spiral, but the progression of the disease.
Progression.
Yeah.
So very, very differently. I mean, obviously some children come to us, little babies, and obviously their vision is poor from a young age. Their eyes might shake. And so that's a very early onset severe form. Then you have some forms that kind of present in later childhood. Often for the rod cone dystrophies, which start with poor night vision, people don't really know that they have it if there's no family history, because isn't it just dark at night?
I understand.
Isn't that what everybody thinks? And it's only when they maybe start bumping into things that they didn't see, or their parents have concern. For some people it's a much later onset. And, you know, unfortunately some people do have car crashes, which we really try to avoid. For other people, they have difficulty reading because it starts in the centre and works its way out. Another group are more stationary, so they don't really change. We've talked about progressive ones, but there's also a group called stationary. So achromatopsia, for example, is a disorder of the cones. So we have cones which see bright light colour, and the rods, which are your side vision, your night vision, see in black and white. So if you have an abnormality of the cones, an achromatopsia, these people are very light sensitive. They have poor central vision, but it's fairly stable over time. So obviously glasses to cut out glare. Whereas then there's another stationary group, congenital stationary night blindness, and they're born with it. It doesn't change a lot over time. They can't see well in the dark. And they often are very, very short-sighted as well. So as with all of these disorders, it's really important we correct the things that we can correct, because if you have a dodgy film in your camera, if you then have it out of focus, you take a really bad photo. But if you get it in focus as much as you can with glasses, you're making the most of the vision that you have.
Got it. Can that likely, can that intervention with glasses as an example, can that likely reduce the onset, or is it?
No, it just maximises the vision. It just makes the most of, you know, the
quality of life right now.
Well, it improves the quality of life, but it makes the most of the vision. Same with cataracts, which is a clouding of the lens inside the eye. Many patients with inherited retinal dystrophies get cataracts, you know, in their 20s, 30s, 40s, whereas most people don't get them until they're 70 or 80. So obviously now you've got a dirty window or dirty lens in your camera, you want to remove the cataract, clean that window, make the most of the vision, let as much light in as possible. So there's lots of things we can do, and it's really important that people with these disorders do get seen regularly, because we want to make the most of the vision they do have so they can live their best life possible.
Now finally, Andrea, in the Retina New Zealand magazine, one of the big things that you talked about in your recent article was the changes that are happening when it comes to research and medication as well. And I guess speaking on behalf of our audiences, whether it's somebody with visual impairment or somebody supporting somebody with visual impairment, I want to know that there's some hope that research is happening. I know it takes a long time, you have to do your due diligence, but give us a little bit of insight into what's coming up. What's the future for treating people with IRDs?
Yeah, very exciting. And I mean, the first gene therapy for an eye disease, Luxturna, which is for a very early onset, took 10 years from when they started treating, once they proved that it could restore vision in a dog model. It took 10 years to go through phase 1, 2 and 3 and is now available. In Australia, they're giving it. We've got 3 patients in New Zealand with that gene.
Wow.
And I'm kind of working with the company in Australia and New Zealand government to try and facilitate getting that very expensive treatment, but life-changing. There are at least 48 or 49 other treatments that are gene therapy. So we talked about not having a good copy of the gene.
Yes.
So if you have a good copy of the gene and you can get that into the eye where there's still living cells, hopefully you can save them or even rescue them.
Wow.
That's one approach, gene replacement therapy. Another group of treatment is called antisense oligonucleotides. So we have our DNA, which gets copied into a little messenger RNA that makes the protein. The messenger RNA is going to have the same mistake in it as the DNA, and by targeting the dodgy messenger RNA and turning it off, and perhaps replacing it, then you can have a better normal protein. So there's quite a few therapies along that front for Usher disease and rhodopsin and CEP290, which also causes Leber's congenital amaurosis. People are working on stem cells. At the moment, I think that's still a bit of a way down the track. Mm-hmm. And probably the stem cell treatment, if we talk about a person earlier in their disease process, we might be targeting gene replacement therapy. Mm-hmm. When the vision is poor and there aren't many remaining cells to get the new gene, we might want to try and replace with cells. So that would be for somebody with more advanced disease.
Gotcha.
Then there's a whole approach giving medications to orally, perhaps, to try and restore the normal pathways within the cell. And there's a lot of medications coming out, particularly or in trial, for Stargardt's disease, which is a very common juvenile macular dystrophy. And so it is a really, really hopeful time. I think that even though we have those treatments, we need to remember there's other things that are happening, as many Retina New Zealand members know about. We have driverless cars. How long have they been around for? And yet we still can't get them. But that kind of technology is enabling people to live independent lives. There's little tracker things you can put in your shoes with a GPS, and you put in your route and it will buzz when you get to a corner.
Wow.
So you know which way you're supposed to turn. There's apps on phones that can give some recognition of who is standing in front of you or what the object is. There's many devices and technologies, adaptive technologies, that are helping people make the most of the vision they have. So I think it's a really hopeful time on more than just the treating front, but also the managing front.
That's so good to hear, and I know that our viewers, that's what they want to know, that there is hope, that there is change ahead, that there is somebody out there advocating for them on that research space. So Andrea, thank you so much. Really appreciated this chat. I certainly have learnt a lot, as I know our viewers will have as well. So Retina New Zealand has ongoing commitment to supporting scientific and medical research that leads to better outcomes in the prevention, diagnosis and treatment of retinal disorders. They're here to support you and all Kiwis living with visual impairment. If you do need help, as Andrea said, reach out. You can find out more on their website, retina.org.nz. Dr. Andrea, thank you so much.
Thank you.